and welcome to the Women's Cut. I'm Jay, that's C-Way. Let's get started. How you doing today, girl?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I got a new puppy, so life over here is very hectic. Even though you don't like his name.
No, I don't, but that's his name. So
for those of you guys who don't know, I have a dog. His name is Frank Thomas. Y'all do know that I'm a huge Sox fan, so that should not be of any surprise. But you also know that I'm a huge Bears fan. So my new puppy's name is Walter Jerome Payton. You can call him Walter. You can call him Jerome. You can call him Payton. You can call him Sweetness. And he is a handful. But he's very cute. So we're having a good time over here.
Yeah, Jay wants to name all of her dogs 65-year-old black men names. Wouldn't be my choice, but the baby is already named. So we go from there.
She called me. She was like, I wish that you would have told me what you were going to name this dog.
Terrible.
Listen, Mother of Rainbow. Don't be coming for me.
Rainbow definitely has a unique name, but it is a dog. It could be a dog's name. No human is named Rainbow. I hope not.
You just anti-human names for dogs is what you're saying.
I don't really like human names for dogs. I think it's your opportunity to be really unique with a little name. You can name them Cover.
How many dogs do you know named Walter?
I mean, it is unique. For sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's get started with the cutting room floor. And we will start today like how we start most of our shows, talking about the WNBA. It's a lot going on. There have been some very good games. Angel Reese has been really good at basketball all season, but she was impeccable at basketball with 100% shooting performance. And then she followed that up with a 66% shooting percentage and 31 points. And then she followed that up with breaking both WNBA records for rebounding for a season and also for a game with 26, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, she ended up winning the Eastern Conference Player of the Week. A'ja Wilson won the Western Conference Player of the Week. And now she's tied for the most Western Conference Players of the Week, or most like individual players of the week. And so with Tina Charles. So she's killing it. Angel's killing it. There's some really good basketball going on right now. So
yeah.
A'ja
is, I know we're not really going to touch on MVP, but I know that A'ja got a lot of people fatigued, but I mean, you just really need to be better than A'ja Wilson. And that's very difficult to do. And if you are not, then you should not win the MVP award.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I think people end up kind of making a better case is perhaps if you do A'ja-like things on a better team. And so I think as the season kind of wraps up, all of the playoff positions are kind of locked in. And so we have the Lynx at number one. That's not going to really go anywhere. There's kind of a race for second to see between the Valkyries and the Aces, kind of what's going to happen there. Atlanta's currently ahead of the Fever in 4, Fever in 5, and then kind of that last 6, 7, 8 between New York, Dallas, and the Mystics can kind of all shuffle around. But the playoffs are set. And so now looking at who is actually going to be kind of that MVP conversation, I know we'll talk about this in a next pod, but you definitely have the Kelsey Mitchells, you have the A'ja Wilsons, you have the Olivia Miles, and I think people are making interesting cases. But A'ja Wilson is still, I think, arguably the best player in the league, and so it's always tough when she's there. What do you do?
Exactly. It's hard to defend her, and it's hard to vote against her if you are a voter.
Yeah.
But another award that has been highly contested, highly talked about recently is the Defensive Player of the Year award. And more specifically, people discounting what rebounds do as far as being a defensive player. Defensive rebounds are extremely important when you're taking away second chance opportunities, third chance opportunities for the other team. Steals apparently are now being discounted because anyone can get them, which isn't necessarily true. And I think that face-up defense is being discounted in people preferring to just play passing lanes instead of giving the benefit of the doubt to people who play good face-up defense. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, the defensive player of the year conversation is getting a little weird again. And this kind of happens every year where I think people have their who they have as the defensive player of the year in mind. And then there's people that kind of pop up and kind of shake the table a little bit. And I think when you have players like Angel Reese and Rhyne Howard, who to me are both making strong cases for defensive player of the year in ways that don't just look like blocks. Starting off with Angel Reese, I mean, not only is she leading the league in rebounds, and like you said, rebounding is very important. She is now third. She's third on the list in steals as a big. Third on the list in steals as a big.
Guards.
Yeah, and then she's averaging 0.7 in blocks, so just short of a block a game, which is also really impressive. And then she's high on the defensive rating, like her defensive rating, and I think that is a great way to kind of account for how you're affecting the offense and also accounting for things that may not show up on the stat sheet like deflections. Angel Reese is very impressive. She is fifth on the list in defensive rating, so that's really, really high. And I think there has to be a conversation of what defensive player of the year looks like outside of blocks. And when you move outside of blocks in that conversation, Angel Reese is right there. Then you have Rhyne Howard, who, like Angel, is defending multiple positions, and then she's leading the league in steals, right? And she's been doing that by a large margin. She's also the defensive anchor of a team while also carrying a very heavy burden on the offensive end. I think what Rhyne Howard, Angel Reese, and even look at Jordan Canada is very, very impressive. And so to me, it's obvious who's in this conversation. Of course, you have A'ja Wilson, but you also have Angel Reese, Big A, Lil A, Rhyne Howard, and some other people that I think are making this case really tough. But what do you think?
I agree. I don't like hanging any award on one statistic, specifically something like blocks, because that means that a guard can never be defensive player of the year, which we know is not true. Guards can be defensive players of the year. They're generally not going to get blocks. They're going to get steals. That's the reason why a lot of times stocks is something that people use, because a player might get more steals than blocks. A player might get more blocks than steals. I just think that you have to take a holistic approach. And a lot of people just come into this with the mindset of this is my favorite. And I will say that A'ja Wilson is the favorite most seasons going into the season. It is somebody else's job to take that from her. That's generally how awards are won. But that doesn't mean that as a voter and as a viewer and as a fan, that you can't have the conversation that somebody else can be better. I think that that's where people get stuck. It's like we've had the conversation about Gabby Williams. Gabby Williams is having an excellent season all around, an excellent all-around season. She's an excellent defensive player. But you can't just decide that Gabby Williams is your person because that's who you've watched majority of the time or whatever. You have to have a holistic view of it. And I think that people kind of get a myopic view of things and just tunnel vision. And this is who my person is. And I think that we need to get away from that. And that goes for all of you.
We do. And I think sometimes we get a little boxed in. I know Gabby Williams, especially in the beginning of the season, started to make a really good case. She was a defensive anchor on one of the best defensive teams. But when we're talking about being fair, we have to look at the eye test and the numbers test. Who is leading the statistics in all the categories and who is on multiple of these boards in multiple categories? Leading the blocks is A'ja Wilson. Leading the steals is Rhyne Howard. Leading the rebounds is Angel Reese. right? And you
Right.
have Angel, who is not only leading in rebounds, she's also top 3 in steals. She's also top 5 in defensive, in defensive rating. You have A'ja Wilson, who's leading in blocks, but she's also top, I think, 3. I want to say 3. Yeah, top 3 in rebounds. So she's on multiple boards, right? And so when you're looking at people who are clearing up multiple boards and then passing the eye test, really the conversation comes down between only a couple of people. And it really, to me, comes down between Angel Reese, A'ja Wilson, and Rhyne Howard. Anything outside of those 3 people, to me, is just an agenda that I think people are keeping up with. I think those are the only 3 people in the conversation right now. And that's just me being objective. This is not an opinion. It is an opinion, but it's also backed up by statistics. And I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm with you when you're right. And I also think the agenda is to me denial, and this is me being objective. I think for a lot of people, denying Angel awards is beneficial to them. It benefits their narrative that she's not that good, that she's just a rebounder, that she is too unorthodox, that her game does not translate. I think denying awards when they are earned fits that particular narrative, and people really, really like that.
Yeah, and that's not fair. And I think I think year after year where Angel and other players who are overlooked year after year, it just makes them go harder. But this year, for sure, she is earned to be in that conversation. And whether she's your defensive player a year or not, she's in that conversation, and she deserves the nods. And it's not this is not an opinion. This is not gassing up. This is backed by statistics. This is backed by the eye test. And it's also backed by things that don't show up, like deflections, being in the passing lane, guarding multiple positions. And so I think just what the Atlanta Dream has done alone, having 3 players top 1, 2, and 3 in steals, that's insane. That's a team that you don't want to come against. That's players that you don't want to come against. And that's what you think of when you think of Defensive Player of the Year. And so I think we got to give credit where credit's due. And there's definitely people who have earned being in that conversation for sure.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good way to transition to our next conversation. Atlanta is making some moves ahead of the 2026 WNBA playoffs, moves that many believe are needed, especially with Bree Jones having a little bit of injury lingering. I think I think her injury, I don't even want to say injury. I think the fatigue is to be expected after the type of injury she had, and then the path backwards. And then they did limit her usage a little bit, but she then got a lot of heavier minutes. So I think that this wear and tear is definitely to be seen, or something that could have been predicted as to be expected, or something that you called personally, Seaway. DeWanna Bonner has signed with the Atlanta Dream. This is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I knew that it was going to be between the Aces and the Dream. One of the reporters that I know, Nikias, he had kind of flagged that the cap space with the Aces was going to be a problem, which caused me to go look a little further, and I saw that they were over the cap, and so that just wasn't going to work. And so after that, to me, it was a no-brainer that she was going to go to the Dream. I think she definitely, with Bree Jones, I know we cover the Dream. We haven't had an official update on what her injury status is, but she definitely can help support positions 3 through 5. Her length and versatility helps. It can help, back up Angel, back up Rhyne, back up Nas, even lead in many ways. Her shot blocking ability, her shooting ability. DB is a vet's vet. She's a champion. And I think this is a great addition for the Dream. I will be remiss if I wouldn't say that I am very sad to see Jalen Sherrod be waived. Unfortunately, Jalen Sherrod, a developmental player, she had one more game left on her contract for DP. She's been waived. And then Aaliyah Nye has been waived as well. I knew somebody was going to have to be waived. I did not think it was going to be Nye. And perhaps they're making room on DP for Nye. We'll see what happens.
I think so.
I didn't think it was going to be Nye, though. I didn't. So
I feel you on that. And the reason why I do think that it is because of that is because we know she's a second-year player. She's still really young. And she's perfect for a developmental contract at this point, because you definitely need to have your developmental spots filled by the time the playoffs happen. You never know what could happen. We've seen in past playoffs where people went down and it was very difficult for people to even field competitive teams because of those injuries. So I do think that they're going to keep Nye. She gave good minutes. Sherrod gave good minutes, but I too would choose Nye over her based on how they have been playing, or individually they've been playing when they had the opportunity to do so. So I'm really excited about this. Some people on the interwebs have been chatting about time and how DB is going to fit into the system. And I think that DB is in a spot where she's get in where you fit in. If she's playing 4 minutes, if she's playing 20 minutes, I don't think that she cares in the sense of she wants to be in a competitive environment. And I think that she wants the ability to give back. And I know that this is going to mean limited minutes for Okot coming off the bench. And that's something that a lot of fans are against because they're big fans of her. But rookies see minutes shrink in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I do want to clear up. It's not really Sherrod or Nye, because Sherrod was on DP and she was at the end of her DP contract. So it was either give her a standard contract or she was going to have to be let go. Gotcha. It was going to be Nye versus somebody else, like Sika or somebody else. And so they did speak very highly of Sherrod and what she's been able to contribute as a DP backup point guard, especially when Pau was out. And I think there was a time where I even thought that perhaps they were going to give her a standard contract. But it just doesn't look like it worked out that way. So, but she's a champion. Nye's a champion too. So, I wish them both the best and we'll see what happens. But yes, to Okot, I just think people need to touch grass a little bit. Okot has exceeded expectations in every way. She has gone from a player that Don wanted to keep an extra year to give time to develop to a player that had extra reps and extra time in very serious game scenarios because Bree Jones was out. Okot has exceeded expectations, and there definitely have been games where I wish that while she was cooking, Carl had let her cook a little bit longer. He's even mentioned that, maybe I could have left her in, things like that. But right now, she's a first-year player, and like you said, in these situations, unless you're coming in, you're feeling like a Caitlin, Olivia Miles, the Angel Reese type of role. When it gets to the playoffs, if your team is in the playoffs, there's a lot of those players. Like Angel didn't even get a chance to go to the playoffs her first couple of years. Like your role is going to be diminished. This is not rec league. This is not Girl Scouts. This is not everybody gets a trophy. This is the WNBA playoffs. Okay?
We're not developing. You're not developing during
the WNBA playoffs. So I just need respectfully, because I like what Okot has done. Respectfully, everybody has to touch grass here.
Yeah. It's not time. It's not time to develop unless you're a starter. Like you said, if you are a starter and you've been getting starter minutes, then yes, you will be playing in the WNBA playoffs. But if you are a role player, unless you're a significant six man off the bench or 6 women off the bench, and you are a legitimate, if you're a Sydney Taylor, you know what I'm saying? We know the sky ain't in it. But if you're that type of player, absolutely, you're going to get ticked. But if you are, unless, again, this is like NCAA. In NCAA, if you're a freshman and you're a sophomore and you're a role player, your time is going to be diminished in the tournament because it's one win. You get one win.
Yeah.
There's no time to be giving you time to figure it out. So I definitely agree with you on that. And speaking of touching grass, your favorite coach, before we lead into that, I definitely want to talk about a couple of games by Awak Kuier.
Yeah, Awak has. I'm happy to get a chance to highlight what she's been doing. Dallas just secured their playoff spot, and Awak has been playing out of her mind. She had a recent game where she had 11 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 blocks.
Wild.
7 blocks in one game. That is insanity. And then after that, she had another impressive game where she was on the podium. She had a double-double, 12 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 blocks. Awak definitely had to step up when Jessica Shepard was out. And when Jessica Shepard is out, I'm highlighting her because this is Awak's response to her Shady Boots. I call her Coach Shady Boots. Shady Boots Fernandez. His kind of like little shade that he threw at her, and instead of like
show the receipts,
I'm gonna show the receipts. This is the shade that he threw.
Hi, Coach. I was just wondering what you thought of Awak's effort and contribution over the last couple games.
Just pause.
Did she ask about Awak?
Yeah.
He's got a good opportunity to go to Golden State and rebound and defend and protect the basket.
Now that was
Ciao.
yeah. Now that was really shady. People said that perhaps he couldn't fully hear. Whether he could fully hear or not, it was shady, and that was confirmed with the Awak's most recent game, where Arike confirmed that she got cussed out. Okay. And so it was confirmed that was pretty much shade because Arike made light of her being, cussed out when Awak was asked what changed. I do want to know, even in the game where he was just shady about, Awak didn't have a bad game. Did she rebound as much? Did she have as many blocks as she had in these recent games? No, but she definitely had a good game. But I just want to highlight Awak because I want to say, this is how a player who was already doing well responds to the shade. If you want to call out my number, I'm going to go even harder. And so I love how hard that she goes. And, maybe this is Coach Fernandez's way to get at his players. Wouldn't be my style, but I like the way they answer. I like the way she answered.
I do want to say there is something to be said for a coach calling you to the floor because we see Becky do that now. The difference is Becky throws her entire team under the bus. She does not call out a specific player. She says, we didn't play defense. We didn't rebound. We didn't score whenever, we needed to score. We know who have watched the game, who she's talking about, but she does not single a person out. I do think that there's something to be said for that way of going about it. I'm not going to be upset for you calling to attention something that you see needs to be an improvement. But throwing a singular player under the bus, seemingly throwing a singular player on the bus is definitely kind of shady, but he lives in a very shady space.
Yeah, he's consistently shady, and I got to give him that. He's consistently shady, and you know what? His players, they don't crumble. They rise to it. And I think when you have Paige, who was coached by Gino, you have Arike that's basically has coached herself for so many years. And then now you have Awak dealing with this. Like, they're built for it. They have tough skin, and I love how they're responding. They're not shrinking. Should they have to deal with the shade? Probably not. But I like how Awak answered.
Completely unrelated, Awak has the most beautiful skin that I feel like I have.
Beautiful skin, stunning, to be honest.
Oh my gosh, her facial, come on now, Black women,
so
y'all
pretty.
Go. Completely unrelated to any of
She's legit stunning.
But I just want to put that out there. Awak, you're gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so to wrap up, we're going to expand a little bit. We've been talking about how to increase our footprint in general. We have expanded to cover the Cubs. We are welcoming a couple of new writers on. You guys will see those announcements relatively soon. But in an effort to stop boring my my co-host with baseball content, we are expanding the Women's Cut Media to a new podcast. I will be starting She's On First, which is going to be a baseball podcast. We're going to talk about the Women's Professional Baseball League. I'll be doing general rundowns of the games so that you guys know who's doing what, who the players are. I'll be doing some articles that are focused on that league and also on baseball. And this will be a quick one hitter, 10-15 minutes of your day so that you can learn a little bit more about women playing baseball, women in baseball, and women talking baseball. So a quick one too.
And I love that Jay is her specialty outside of, basketball is baseball. I'm big on track, and hopefully we can do more with tennis as we continue to go on. And so we both have our little side things, but especially here, this is where you're going to get the general women's sports and everything WNBA, NCAA, basketball, you already know. So I love the expansion. Black women, especially talking about sports, is an important voice. And also talking about the women, Black women, women of color also that touches these areas of sports. We're always going to find those stories. And so, yeah.
Speaking of, just a little aside, I didn't even bring this up before, but our Kwanza Jones post was getting a little bit of tick because of how cute she was in her presser, even though people were hating. Did you see that? Did you see that video?
I didn't.
So, at the end of her inaugural press conference, because remember, she's the woman who bought the Padres.
Yeah.
Yes, Padres. She, at the end of the press conference, it was over. They announced it was over. And she was like, okay, guys, I just want to get a picture of you all. And she brought her camera up and she got a picture of all the media. They started laughing and cheesing, and it was just so cute. And of course, people were hating, like, this is unprofessional. And
God forbid a Black woman have joy.
A billionaire Black woman who just bought an entire franchise, her and her
I would be kind of happy too.
Her and her Puerto Rican husband, neither of those cultures have ever owned an MLB team. God forbid they be happy.
God forbid.
People are very miserable.
Well, I love it. Shout out to them. Shout out to Black excellence. Shout out to this Black lady courtroom. And yeah. So I don't have anybody in the cut because to put who I want to put in the cut, I have to give them more attention. And we don't feed trolls over here. This has been a podcast full of positivity. And so there's nobody to put in the cut because they already cut up. They're cut up by life.
I mean, they got cut from the NBA team for underperformance. So
yeah.
Chicago Sky finally did something right. What a time. Yeah, because they put a statement out talking about if he behaves. No, never. Halfway. Never.
They get 25%. So
they still sponsoring the cut though. So
forever and ever and ever.
So sign us out, friend.
All right. Well, we appreciate the support. We are expanding. And for those who've been rocking with us, you guys are officially our day ones. You guys are in the cut. Well, we haven't figured out what the name is.
We need a fan name because my co-host wanted to call y'all the Cutwaters, but we can't. I'm pretty sure that's branded.
So yeah, y'all come up with what y'all want. But anyway, you guys are our day ones. We appreciate the support, and we will be back with you guys shortly, probably next week. But we definitely will be covering FIBA and everything that happens there. So bye.
Chicago
Chicago Clubhouse Network production.